It is with great distress that we often hear news about the malicious and brutal practice of red tagging, the labeling of groups or individuals perceived to be critical of the government as communists or terrorists. It has become a common trend and practice that in the Philippines the red tagging has become a prelude to persecution and even summary execution. The vilifying and red tagging of church and ecumenical leaders have become grave concerns not only for the churches in the Philippines but also for the churches and the ecumenical movements all over Asia. The Christian Conference of Asia, a regional fellowship of churches and national councils of churches, with its 65 million members, condemn such red tagging as it causes fear of the lives of pastors, priests, bishops, as well as ecumenical leaders who are at the forefront of facilitating and coordinating the church's mission and witness. We believe that instead of maligning and endangering people for their right to the lawful exercise of freedom of expression, the Philippines government should address legitimate criticisms of people against undemocratic policies and unjust practices. Those have been prevailing in the country for decades because of the authoritarian and military dictatorships and various other reasons. By way of red tagged individuals, organizations, and their leaders, those who are critical of government's anti-people policies have become the targets of harassment, threats, and even extrajudicial killings. The CCA and its leadership view that a member church of the CCA in the Philippines, the United Church of Christ in the Philippines, is under attack by the state, and the UCCP and its leaders have been branded as supporters of communists or terrorists. Many within the country and overseas believe that such actions are part of tyrannical tactics of lumping the church and its mission with the revolutionary movement in the country, and also it is a way of casting aspersions against the church. It is alarming that by way of registering criminal charges against many church leaders in the Philippines, ranging from the bishops of the church, local church pastors, and the laity, the authorities and the military are trying to suppress the prophetic voice of the church. The Christian Conference of Asia already expressed its concern and anguish a few months ago when Bishop Ruel Norman Marixa, a member of CCA's Executive Committee and the current General Secretary of the NCC Philippines, was attacked on television as well as on internet news portal and other social media, accusing that he is a member of the Revolutionary New People's Army. CCA also expressed concerns earlier when the UCCP was accused by the government's Anti-Insurgency National Task Force on the basis of the church's decision to provide sanctuary for internally displaced indigenous people in a UCCP compound in Davao City. As the churches in the Philippines are struggling and when they are crying out for justice, the CCA and its member churches spread across Asia, starting from Iran in West Asia to Japan in East Asia, and from Nepal in the north to New Zealand in the south. All of these churches express solidarity with the churches and the ecumenical movement in the Philippines, who cry out for justice and who cry out for their rescue. In this context and in this situation, the Christian Conference of Asia appeals that any form of attack be stopped and that the government should opt for principled negotiations to address the problems, especially the armed insurgency that has been prevailing in the country for decades due to the failure of the successive governments in resolving people's genuine concerns. While CCA remains deeply concerned on the increasing killings, as well as the arbitrary arrest and detention of red tagging of individuals, especially church leaders, the Christian Conference of Asia reiterates its commitment to accompany and be in solidarity with the United Church of Christ in the Philippines and also other churches, those who are facing similar problems in the country. In solidarity, thank you.